My wonderful people, what is going on, man? It's a beautiful day. What a magnificent weekend, man. I'm recording this earlier because I'm not going to be home on Sunday, but there was nothing, and I mean nothing, that was going to stop me from talking about one of the best chapters in all of Wano. There's no, I was coming on here, come Flagnards or not, we were going to sit in this chair and talk about the brand new contract extension. The max contract that we just gave to one of the all-time GOATs in this series. Not just YamaGOAT, but now another character has joined that S+++ tier that one day I'm going to make. Because one day, I keep alluding to it, but one day I am going to make that favorite character's tier list, whatever it is. And another individual just joined. It's Rawness and Swag himself. It's GOAT Raw and Fire himself, cutting a promo this week that was absolutely legendary. My Shogun, my General, Kozuki Momonosuke. Are you kidding me? So I was like, yo, I gotta come on here and talk about this week's chapter. I mean, it was just such a glorious day, right? Because you get this magnificent chapter, and then not even like 1 minute after that, we got the Resident Evil 4 remake. Street Fighter 6 looks amazing, and then Final Fantasy 16, which you guys know how far my shackles go with Square Enix. It's like, yo, anything the Squaresoft produces, I'm just like, inject it, baby, inject it. Inject it. So, I'm in a good mood. It's a wonderful day to be alive. It's a wonderful day to be a fan of the best-selling manga in history. And as we go into this next week, it's going to be absolutely insane. But we are here today to talk about the awesome sauce, y'all. We are here today to talk about the greatness. And what I want to do is I want to split this Afterthoughts into 3. I want to talk about YamaGOAT, because you already know how we feel on that end, man. I'm about ready to jump in and out of the walls. Talking about YamaGOAT. I have the entire arc, let alone right now. So YamaGOAT will be first, then I want to talk about Tama, and then we're going to finish off this video with my general. My great general under the Wano heavens. My great general of Wano. The man who's going to open the borders. Long hair don't care. Odin eyebrows. I gotta talk about it.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! How would you like to be a part of history? I want to make history, but I don't have any money. No worries on that end. This is gonna be free 99. Free? That's $0! I have $0! Free is free. My boy Christian Turlotto from the Red Force podcast is coming in hot with a brand new one-shot for free. It has dynamic action sequences, great paneling, amazing artwork, and it's free. That's it. Nothing's stopping me from making history. I'm gonna read Scarlet Vixen. How about you? Would you like to make history? Then check out Christian Turlotto's Scarlet Vixen, only on Webtoons. So, starting us off, you already know, Yamato, obviously, right? Now, it's not officially confirmed, but in my heart it is, because at this point, it looks like Yamato is going to be taking that Odin role upon the Straw Hat ship. It's something we've been speculating from the moment that she was introduced. But what we have here is an interesting situation to where a majority of, a good Robin, Brooke, Sanji, all openly accepting, like, hold up, you're joining. Frankie was like half and half. Jinbei being, the voice of like, you know what? While Zoro's down, I'm gonna give you the voice of reason here. We gotta wait until Luffy states what he's gonna state. And even if Luffy denies it, which I'm going to assume he is, based on the way this chapter went, I'm going to assume that Luffy's gonna deny it, or deny her access to joining the Straw Hats, in the same way that Whitebeard denied Odin. And what I'm going to assume is that Yamato is going to have to go through her own trial to join the Straw Hat ship in order to gain the love of everyone else in the ship besides Brooke, Robin, and Sanji. So everyone else, once they see Yamato go through whatever her version of the Odin trial to join Whitebeard's ship is going to be, Yamato's version of that is probably going to be something extremely crazy as well. And then Yamato will be on the ship gaining the respect of everyone else who is currently like, I'm not letting Kaido's child on the ship, alright? Like, that's Kaido's offspring, you feel me? So, once again, Brooke skyrocketing up the favorite Straw Hats list after this one. Sanji and Robin are already up there, so like they can't. But Brooke, dog, the moment he was like, Yamato join, I was like, that's my guy. That's my guy, yo. My boy Brooke. All the post time skip been putting in work. Big Mom who? That's just an old lady. She don't want to see me. That's my soul king. So I was like, yo, Brooke greatest. But in terms of Yamato, I'm fully expecting her not only to just join the crew, but join it in Odin fashion. Now, what I'm interested in as to how Oda's going to tackle her proclaiming her name, getting rid of the Odin title, getting rid of the shackles of Kozuki Odin. Originally going into this arc, I was thinking that that was going to be her major moment within this arc. At the very end, she was going to finally gain her sense of freedom by tossing away the Odin title and proclaiming her true name in Yamato, even though she did that earlier on in this arc in chapter 993 and 94, saying that my other name is Yamato. What we're going to have is a moment of self-freedom where she clearly identifies herself, because that has been a common theme within this arc. Every character has proclaimed their name as their defining moment. We saw it this week with Momonosuke. We've seen it with the Monkey D several times. It is a common thing, right? And so with Yamato, if we don't get it within Wano, because now after this week's chapter, I'm not sure how much more Yamato we're going to get in regards to her possibly having a moment where she proclaims her name like that. And in terms of tossing away the Odin title and truly gaining that sense of self-freedom, which is where we're heading towards with all of this. I'm wondering if, because my initial thought was, in post-Wano, we were going to have a moment where Yamato tosses away the title, now having seen the heroic deeds of Kozuki Momonosuke and Luffy. Both individuals who carry the legacy, who carry other names just like her, with Joy Boy and with being Odin's child, and they came into their own, even though Luffy was always his own self, but having Luffy, this figure of legend, still proclaiming his name in the way that he does, and doing what he set out to do in defeating Kaido, seeing that with her own eyes, she got it in 4K, she was live reacting the entire time. So Yamato seeing that, and then also seeing what Kozuki Momonosuke did, it's like, yo, the tales of heroism for her are crazy. I mean, she was already extremely inspired by Odin with the book, and by Roger and Whitebeard and the people in Legend. She witnessed the legend take place here in real time. So it's like, that's going to inspire her way more than that book ever did. And that was my original thought process, was that now she would come into her own after that. But now I'm not sure. Because if she sets out to sea with the Straw Hats, then it would be extremely interesting if she would have a sort of Usopp type of dream here. Where, of course, she wants to set out to sea and see the entire world. That's the beginning of her dream. But it would be very interesting if her dream changes down the line, or she has, not necessarily her dream, but her moment, her character-defining moment down the line is going to be like Usopp in regards to Usopp wants to become the brave warrior of the sea, and we're going to see that moment take place at the end of the series where he's clearly a brave warrior of the sea. Yamato, I think, is going to have a similar moment like that, except in Yamato's case, it's going to be the moment that she clearly defines herself as Yamato and not Odin, where she truly throws away the shackles of Kozuki Odin. And she comes into her own as Yamato while going on the adventures of the Straw Hats. And I think this is a very interesting way of going about it, because through the adventures with the Straw Hats, through the obstacles that are going to come with that, she is going to find out who she truly is. Thanks to that, we find ourselves by overcoming obstacles and by seeing other individuals who help us define ourselves as well. And so she's going to be able to gain that sense of self-freedom by being a part of the Straw Hat crew on their journey. So I think this is going to go one of two ways for Yamato's character journey. Number one, she could just proclaim her name here, gain herself or a sense of self-freedom, and set out once the borders of Wano open with the Straw Hats. And like I said, it doesn't even matter at this point. Whether she joins or joins the Alliance, whatever it is, Yamato, we're nearing the end of the series. Yamato's going to be with us for a long time, right? So, regardless, but I'm fully expecting her to join the crew at this point. And those are the two scenarios I have in mind. Either she fully accepts herself here in Wano, we get a really beautiful moment before the borders open, or that is something that happens due to the journeys that she goes on with the Straw Hat crew. And I think that would be really interesting to see a character progress like that up until the end of the story. So, exciting stuff there, regardless of the route that Oda decides to take with that. I really can't wait for it, because Yamato already is one of my favorite characters, and to have her along for the ride like this is going to be super, super cool. So I cannot wait for more YamaGOAT greatness, especially here in post-Wano as she continues to meet the crew. I cannot wait for the moment when she meets Zoro, because obviously Oda is intentionally postponing that for either post-Wano or heading into the next arc, depending on how long it takes Zoro to wake up. So when Zoro wakes up and we get that final bit of lore that we've been waiting for in regards to Zoro's past, in regards to the man who shall not be named, Mr. Nothing Man, right, from chapter 1024, and everything that's going to connect there with Ryuma, Enma, all this stuff, we already know the connection is going to be there with Zoro and Yamato, so I cannot wait for their moment in post-Wano. It's going to be so good. Hopefully it's over some sake, because we already know both of them love them some sake, so it'll be pretty nice for Zoro to finally have a drinking buddy here with Yamato. So, and especially since they both have so much respect for the way of life that is the samurai, and that's going to be a really nice dynamic to see grow between Zoro and Yamato, of course, if she ends up joining the crew. So really excited for that. Moving into Tama, this week, I already thought the last episode added some well-needed characterization for Tama, but this particular chapter with the flashback showcasing that her parents were individuals who worked, doing all of the crazy stuff that they're forcing the individuals of Wano to do so that Kaido's people and Orochi's people can just feast and eat all day while everybody else is starving and slaving. Her parents took the full brunt of that. As a matter of fact, they both died. And to see that, circling back to the beginning of this arc, when we went through that part and we saw those chimneys up, it's going to add. I just recently rewatched Act 1, and I feel like next time we rewatch Act 1 now with that context, that particular section where Luffy looks out while he's with Tama towards the construction sites where you have like the chimneys filled with smoke and pollution, it's like, man, that has an entirely different weight to it now. And I loved seeing whenever she initially first met the Tengu, trying so hard to survive, even at a young age, creating these hats in order to survive, showcasing that humans will do anything necessary in order to survive. And I love that. I do wonder what Tama's future is going to be, whether she stays here with the Tengu. There's still the Tengu with Sukiyaki theory that is very popular. There's still that possibility as well, but in regards to just if the Tengu's the Tengu, and with Tama, does Tama stay with the Tengu? Are we going to have a moment? What about Toko, right? Like, what happens with Toko there as well? But with Tama, there is a possibility, especially with the way that Mama Nami has been handling the situation, there is a possibility that Tama ends up joining the crew as a cabin girl. So if Tama ends up joining the crew as a cabin girl, that would be insane. Because that would mean that both characters that were connected to Ace, that originally wanted to set out with Ace, actually set out with Luffy, which would be really, really interesting and actually really dope. Which would mean we would get 2 new additional crewmates in this arc with Yamato and Tama. But, because I've just been trying to think about any other scenario with Tama, unless we have a situation where Luffy also tells Tama to wait for him until the end of the series. And so then we'll have a situation to where, so I feel like there's 2 scenarios here. Either Tama stays here in Wano, Luffy promises to return to Tama one day. So, because I'm going to assume when they make that run back, right, whenever we meet Laboon and go through all that, and once we find the One Piece and we do like the last around the world, when Luffy has that final moment with Momonosuke, I'm going to assume he's also going to have his final moment with Tama at the end of the series. That's barring that she doesn't join. So if she doesn't join, I think he'll probably make a promise to Tama in the same way that Ace made the promise to Tama, and we'll see how that goes. And it's probably going to end up being really emotional if that ends up being the case. But even if she joins, it's still going to be really emotional, because Luffy did what he set out to do, and I loved that this week's chapter connected that line from chapter 1049 to here, showed how much that meant to her, truly meant to her, and it connected that to Momonosuke's speech. So Tama, like I said, could be either joining the crew or staying in Wano as a promise that one day we'll return to Wano to meet with Tama, have Tama join on for the last ride, whatever it is, right? It could end up being the second part of the Ace promise. Or, just like with Yamato, individuals that originally wanted to set out with Ace actually do get to send out with Luffy. So we'll see what happens there. But if she does join, Mama Nami's going to take care of her. Mama Nami's going to take care of Tama, as we see. As we've seen. Yo, Mama Nami, Papa Usopp, Big Brother Luffy, they'll take care of business. They'll take care of business. So, let's talk about Momonosuke. Let me get some water real quick because Momo, all right? Where do I even begin? Where do I even begin when it comes to this character? When I saw the title of this week's chapter, somebody pointed this out in the comment section, but it really gave me that same sense of whenever I read chapter 1000. I mean, not to the same degree because, of course, Luffy's the main character, and it was more so than just the happiness of Luffy actually getting to this level, getting to this point, boxing emperors, right? It was more than just that. This is the entire series culminating here. So chapter 1000 hit extremely different. When that title hit, I was already tearing up. This one hit because we've seen Momonosuke's character journey from the beginning of Punk Hazard until now. And to see all of those moments, which were shown in this week's chapter, those little flashback sequences with Luffy telling him, dog, it's you. It's you. You're the one that has to go about and do all of this. It's like, yo, you need to show the individuals out there, like, you're Kozuki Momonosuke. You're that dude. You gotta act like it. Like, you are that dude, my man. And one day you're gonna have to get to that point. And we've seen that journey from that point till now, where even in this arc, of course, because he's still an 8-year-old child, he's still trying so hard to be this individual. And that's why I love turning him into an adult plot line, because what we have here is an 8-year-old individual within a 28-year-old body that has gone through so much. He may as well be 28. With all the trauma, the man, bro, like just a few months ago, and for him, just maybe even a few weeks ago, Odin died. His pops died. And he's had to deal with that grief. And he's had to push forward for his people while they didn't even know he existed anymore. They thought he was dead. And so to have that and see him progress from all the way back then to now, it was such a beautiful chapter, bro. It was such a beautiful chapter. And Momonosuke's part really was what sets this as one of my favorite chapters in the entire arc, man. Because when you have this legendary promo being put out here, Kaido Orochi, look at these panels. He's raising his blade in the air as they're bowing and kneeling before him. And I love Kinemon still acting like his adopted father in this scene. Like, yo, you know, or Momonosuke's like, yo, what do I say now? Like, I don't know what to say. And it's still showcasing the 8-year-old child in him. And Kinemon was like, dog, no more samurai pride, no more, will of this or will of that. My dog was like, brother, wing it. All right? Just wing it. At this point, winging it has gotten us this far. Just wing it, man. Just wing it. And I love that. I loved it so much because it just goes to show that Kinemon is not always going to have the answers. The scabbards as retainers are not always going to have the answers. But they're going to leave it on Momonosuke to find those answers. Because he is their leader. He is their shogun. And they have enough belief in him that even if they don't have the answers, they believe that he can do it. Why? Because they've already seen that when they don't have the answers, they left it to Luffy. And Luffy found the answers. Luffy defeated Kaido. So they've now gotten to this point to where, same thing with Momonosuke, where Momonosuke was tasked with bringing down the Flower Capital, and he did it. He did it. So it's like, we no longer have to have the answers. We just have to believe in our Shogun. And I really love that scene, man. I really, really did with Kinemon. I'm so happy Kinemon's alive. I look forward to seeing his moments with Suru. That's going to be some really beautiful stuff. But the monsters that have kept you living in fear have all been vanquished. Like, man, And I love how Kid's like, our alliance? Law and Beppo here with their little ... is very, very interesting. Like, I don't know if this is because he's in a panel right next to with Carrot, who was of course thinking about Pedro, but in Law's case, it's like, of course, Law is thinking about the past with Dofi with Corazon, but is there more to this? Because there's still the immortality operation that could potentially be around the corner. So, like, this panel could mean a lot more down the line, but we'll think about that later. Law right here in this panel, not seeing his eyes. Of course, he could just be emotional, right? Because Law set out with Luffy to do this at the beginning, and I'm sure it felt like it was impossible. But to see that Luffy actually did it, to see that Law and Kid took out Big Mom, is he still just processing that? Like, I wonder what's going through Law's head. You know what I mean? Like, I really do. Because Kid obviously is like, our alliance. Like, I'm the one that did the most of the work. Going back to that chapter 974. And 975 with all that, with their rivalry and stuff. But, of course, we know how Kid feels about this. But Law, like, I'm interested. Because Law, of course, is the one that proposes alliance. And to see the fruits of that, it's like, I wonder how he feels. I really do. And I wonder how he feels about having to move from here on out. I do wonder what's going to happen with Law in general, from this point forward in regards to his character. What's going to take place with him, of course, barring there's no immortality operation, he sticks with us, like my boy Michael Mickles said. Hopefully, we'll see Mr. Law as Raw to the end of the series. But I'm hoping that's the case, because Law is not only a fan favorite, but he's also one of my favorite characters too, and I'm sure a lot of your favorite characters too. Like, Law is just that dude. He's, at this point, he feels like a Straw Hat. He's just like Vivi to me, where they are Straw Hats. Like, Vivi and Law, to me, they've been with the crew for so long, they are Straw Hats. And regardless of what happens with Law from here on out, I really hope we get to see more of him down the line. And maybe if we don't see him and we see him in the final arc again, it's just going to be such an epic moment. But I look forward to seeing what Law has in store for us here in Post Wano, and also what the newspaper is going to say about Law too, and Kid and the rest of them. But we'll never forget the heroes who paved the way to make this possible. Man, and Toko, see, this hits hard because of of course, the Yasue stuff, right? It's like, yo, fake it till you make it, man. I love this so much. Does anything in the world still seem scary to you? Like, Luffy has talked to him so many times, talked sense into him so many times. Yamato talking sense into him. And it's so beautiful because, it's a popular saying that your mentors, the people around you, are what make you. And we've seen that there's some really good people around Momonosuke. That's what really makes good leaders. And to have these wonderful individuals around Momonosuke who have gotten to this point, and he doesn't put himself as one at the forefront of this message. He put everybody else, the passionate friends he met on this journey, the individuals that paved the way for this to take place. Like, no, this is 8-year-old child saying this, man, and Momonosuke! My name was given to me by my father. It means second to none. I swear to live up to that by restoring this country's barren lands to the paradise they once were. But I need you to lend me your strength. After spending the last 20 years to save this land, from this moment on, Wano will be led by me, Kozuki Momonosuke. This is by far one of my favorite pages in the entire series. Not only is Momonosuke's character design so fire, but this moment just means so much, because we remember back to when Momonosuke declared his name in front of Kaido, and how big of a moment that was. And Sanji was there to help him and protect him in that point, and we know how much that meant to Sanji, of like, yo, that was awesome, you know what I mean? Because to Sanji, of course, he is an individual who is trying to, and somebody brought this up in the comments section for live reaction. I apologize that I forget the person who commented this, but I thought it was a great comment in regards to, Sanji refuses to, or he's accepted the Vinsmoke is lineage, but refuses to accept any of the stuff that they do, right? Whereas in Momonosuke's case, it's like this, he's accepting the burden of all of these years of the Kozuki clan and Toki, Odin, the retainers, all of that, he's accepted it. And for so long, he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And now he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. And by the flag runners, no one's gonna stop me from doing it. And I love how Sanji we got a Sanji reaction in both moments, because proclaiming one's name is something that is very important to Sanji. And we got to see Sanji's reaction of like, yo, that was really awesome. And then we got to see his reaction here as well for this moment too. Whenever he's like, you know what, that's my boy. That's my boy. And I really like how we got that moment with Sanji both, like I said, in the original, proclaiming his name with Kaido, and then here, because once again, knowing what he went through back in Whole Cake Island and his relationship with his family, that's very difficult for him. I mean, whenever it showed the name Vince Smoke Sanji on his bounty post, he wanted to throw that thing away, even though it was a few more than Zoro, and he was super happy about that, but he was like, yo, the Vince Smoke name? Like, come on now. He doesn't want to be associated with them. But as we saw in chapter 1031, he had to accept his lineage in order to defeat King. He had to accept it while still rejecting what he doesn't agree with. And so to have that parallel with Momonosuke has been really, really cool. Really cool. Momonosuke has parallels with Sanji, with different characters like Sanji, Yamato, but to see, for example, Sanji and Yamato specifically here, Tama, who we know, especially after the latest episode, really wanted this to happen, for Momonosuke to be Shogun. She believed in this man. And I love this so much. I love that those three in particular were the ones who were so happy about it. Like Sanji, Yamato, Frankie in the back, then of course Nami, Mama Nami, and Tama. I love this. I love this so much. But Momonosuke, without question, one of the rawest, most goated character designs in the entire series. Wano has provided us with some of the most amazing character designs, man. We have Goat Man Momonosuke, we have Goat Kaido, we have YamaGOAT, we have King. Like, yo, these legendaries raw behind characters. Like, we love it. We love to see it. We love to see it, right? And I love so many of the character designs that we've got in this arc, even outside of like the super raw ones, right? Like Kawamatsu's character design I absolutely love as well. Like, just great stuff. But I just love this page, man. Wano will be led by me, Kozuki Momonosuke, and you know the reactions to this, where you get to see Nekomamushi, Kawamatsu, Hiyori, and Denjiro, specifically them, because they lived through it. They lived through these 20 years of not knowing where this man was. They didn't know if they were alive, but they believed. They believed that one day, 20 years in the future, they would see them again. And so for them, this is like, it's almost like this is too good to be true. Like, this has actually happened. I can't believe it. Like, we suffered for all these years, but it was worth it in the end. It was worth it in the end for this moment. I love Wano, bro. Dog, this arc is godly, man. This is my arc, bro. It truly is, right? Like, I love this. I love that right next to Momonosuke declaring this are the individuals who lived throughout all of this, who were not transported 20 years in the future, but rather they had to suffer for 20 years. And it's like, man, Goat piece back at it again. Goat piece back at it again, man. And then we got this kingdom-style narration here. The true Shogun, my deepest apologies for the delay. Momonosuke-sama has returned. Sakura petals dance in a future sky where warriors can finally rest their blades. A man 8 years of age surveys their progress. I mean, it just gives you goosebumps, bro. As they drift in the night air of the renowned land of samurai. Hiyori, man. Hiyori almost made me cry, bro. Like, I was like, nah, come on. Yo, Momonosuke looks so goated, bro. He may lack physical strength. But he compensates with his devotion to duty and boundless compassion. This man will one day be known far and wide as one of Wano's greatest leaders. Look at this panel! We have just born witness to the birth of the great Shogun Kozuki Momonosuke. Fantastic 500 out of 10 chapter. I mean, seriously, I love this chapter so much. Like, in the upper echelon of legendary Wano chapters, this is right up there with the best of them. Because not only is this the culmination of a character arc that we've been following for so long, but a story arc, a story saga that we've been following for over a decade. And it was just, it was just so beautiful, bro. I don't know. Like, there was so many emotions running through. Emotional right now just thinking about it. But it's like, it's been rent-free. I haven't been able to stop thinking about this chapter. But above all else, when this gets animated, I really hope it gets the chapter 902 from Whole Cake Island, the episode 877 treatment. Because that episode was done so well. Adapting that content, I'm really hoping the anime, which I know it's going to, gives that level of treatment. Because it's a chapter that's worthy of such treatment. It is a beautiful chapter. I can't wait to hear the soundtracks, the voice acting from Momonosuke, like, I just really love this chapter, man. This was like I said, this was like a 500 out of 10 chapter. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Momonosuke greatness, the reactions, the potential Yamato joining, Tama. It just, those three, you know, the children of Wano, and Yamato, Tama, and Momonosuke, the way that their stories here, and Toko as well with the last chapter, the way their stories are concluding here are just so beautiful. And I'm just, God, man, I love it. I really do, bro. I couldn't be happier, man. What an amazing ending to this goated arc. And even though it's not over yet, of course, we have no idea what's gonna happen in 1052. You know, we don't know what's gonna take place. We don't know if we're heading right into post Wano or I don't know. We have no idea. But for right now, this chapter was just so special, and I look forward to seeing what takes place next, man. Shout out to my boy Kozuki Momonosuke, without question one of the GOATs in this series. S++ tier character. And once again, I cannot wait to do that favorite characters tier list, because man, oh man, tell you what, bro, spoiler alert for that one, Yamato and Momo are gonna be mad high on that one, son. Mad high, you feel me? Shout out to Mama Nami, Father Kinemon, boy Sanji. Just, I love this week's chapter, man. Luffy, rest well, King. Like, look at him, bro, smiling, he's happy, yo. Like, yo, even though he's probably not gonna wake up for another 3 months, Zoro and Luffy, rest easy, my brothers. Rest easy, man. What a GOAT chapter. What an amazing chapter. I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. It's a wonderful time to be a fan of One Piece. Next week's gonna be crazy. I will be here covering most of the news next week. Going to assume we're going to get a lot of live action news. We're going to get a new look into Film Red, which I'm super excited for. Probably going to see some film or One Piece Odyssey, which was already confirmed in the Jeff Keighley hype trailer. We're going to see it at some point within Summer Games Fest, whether it be this week or later on in June. We're going to see it at some point whenever Bandai Namco decides to show it off. So cannot wait for it. Can I wait for One Piece Odyssey? Can I wait for all this amazing One Piece news coming in? And of course, for the next chapter of the best-selling manga in history. So let me know any other additional thoughts you'll have on this week's chapter in the comment section down below. And until next time, have an awesome day. I love this series, bro. It was such a GOAT chapter, man.